We all know how important reading is for language acquisition, but sometimes when you're working with beginners, it can be hard to find material that's appropriate for your novices. Today I want to share with you 12 books that are great for beginning Spanish practice. Hey, my name is Ashley, aka Senior to Spanish, where I provide easy-to-use resources to save you time and energy. If you're new here, I just want to make sure that you know that links to everything I mentioned are going to be down in the description box below this video. Okay, let's get right into it. These are in no particular order. They're not from like easiest to most difficult. They're not my favorite to least favorite or, the other way around. They are just great books I wanted to share with you. I'm going to give you a glimpse of each of the books while I go through them, but I also wanted to make sure that you know that I do have a playlist here on my channel where I do kind of a bird's eye view and I flip through the books and I talk a little bit about the plot and I show you the supports available. So if you want a closer look at any of the books that I mentioned, check out that playlist. The first book I have for you is actually a brand new book from Senor Woolley. I love him. I love his stuff. I'm a huge fan. I've talked about it before. This is amazing. I saw this when I opened this book up and I saw it and it said only 34 unique Spanish words. That's amazing. Can you imagine trying to write a story with only 34 words? I can't. I'm not that creative. This so good. I can't wait to sit down and read this with even my kids, like my 4 and my 2-year-old. I think are going to love this story. My husband read it and he was laughing out loud. So it's called No Somos Amigos. If you're familiar with the Diego y sus amigos story, these are the same characters, but not the same story. So as you're flipping through it, right, beautiful illustrations, and the sentences are very clear, very short, and easy to read. Perfect for your novices. Next, Mosca Mosca. This I have been hearing about in Facebook groups for a long time. Finally ordered my copy, and it's adorable. This is a tag team effort from 2 authors who are amazing, and it's actually a series. So you can kind of see on the back here, it's one of many. So if you grab one and you're like, oh, I love it. Series are really good for novice learners because then, right, if they enjoyed one of them, they can pick up another book in the series. They don't have that decision paralysis. So they're like, what should I do next? I don't know where to go. If they see, hey, these are connected, I know what I'm going to read next. So let's just take a quick look inside so you can see right at the beginning there's a little bit of a backstory, a little bit of information here for you, but this part is in English. Then they have this section at the beginning that is beautiful for beginners. It says important words and then transparent words, which, right, cognates. So they have a glossary right here in the front, but look at the actual reading. Like this support is amazing. Look at that, right? So there's this big, beautiful illustration, but then as they're reading, the glossary is right there next to it. They don't have to drop to the end of the page. They don't have to flip to the end. They don't have, they can flip back to those important words section at the beginning because not all of the words are glossed, but there's just a ton of support here. Okay, this one I think is relatable for students, but maybe in a way that you might not expect. It's called Arroz con Cosas, and just pulling from the back, it says, with no internet experience, no followers, and no influence beyond her son, her restaurant, and her town, she decides that she wants to become an Instagram influencer. Maybe you sound like some of our students who have dreams of becoming a YouTuber one day. Anyways, it says she wants to share her authentic paella with the world. At her age, she's 75. Really? So that's something that they might relate to. This is, again, just like what I was just showing you with the other one. Margarita's books have that beautiful support on the side here and those awesome illustrations on the pages. Super, super, super friendly for your novices. So again, there's that section at the beginning, the important words and the cognates. And like I mentioned throughout the book, it's glossed on the side. Super friendly for beginners. You can either add it to your FER library, or if you were doing a unit on food, super fun. Next up, you've definitely seen this one on my channel before. I love Spanish cuentos. I have like tons. I have tons of his books and I love them all. Again, fantastic illustrations. And let's see, just so you can kind of see how the pages are set up, it's almost like comic booky, but not the panels, right? So there's short sentences and illustrations, right? Short sentence, illustration, things that are happening. Things are also glossed. It's kind of hard to see down here on the bottom of the page. So that way, if they needed to refer to something, they could. There's a very complete vocab list at the end of this book if there was something else that they had to double check on for their understanding. Okay, I'm kind of cheating with this next book because I'm actually sharing all 3 books at once. It's the Soy Carlos series. I have shared about these before too, but they're amazing for beginners. So I'm just going to show you the first one. It's called Soy Carlos, and I love the pictures. I think they're funny. I don't know, just this is my level of art to like stick figure. But like, look at this, right? That is so beginner friendly. It says, hola, soy Carlos, hola, Carlos, hola, Carlos, hola, soy Carlos, right? So not a ton of language, very, very, very beginner friendly, right? The pictures are super clear. There's kind of little, like you can see, right, it says soy fuerte, tengo músculos grandes, and then here there's images to kind of support that. And so instead of glossing, it's like those pictures are the glossary. I hope that makes sense, right? There's tons and tons and tons of illustrations throughout the book and different options for you. So like I mentioned before, how Mosca Mosca is part of a series and how that's fantastic for beginners, because then if they read this one and they like it, 2 more for them to choose from. Same setup, same character. I'm just going to flip through this one so you can kind of see, right? There's a little bit more text, but look at all of those illustrations. I do have closer looks inside each of these in that playlist that I mentioned at the beginning. I'll make sure to link that down in the description box for you if you wanted to take a closer look at these. These, I would say, are musts for beginner Spanish practices. I got another one for you from Margarita. I really like how she sets up her vocabulary. So this one is a little bit different because it's based in a myth from New Zealand. So when you're thinking about Spanish class, you might be like, why would I do this? But the language, right? You don't have to be learning about Spanish to be learning Spanish. So just like with her other ones, she has kind of a section in English that's a little bit of background knowledge, a little bit of information. And then we do have those important words at the beginning. But like I was mentioning, my favorite thing is how she does that glossing on the side. So there's those big, beautiful illustrations and the words right here along the side for them. It's really not overwhelming for beginners. So as you're looking at this text, like that's a pretty full page, but it's spaced out and having that support right there for them. So as they're reading, if they're feeling stuck, they just glance over. Super easy. I love her books for beginners. More Spanish cuentos. I think you're maybe seeing a theme here in my authors, but that's okay. There's more coming. There's some changes coming. La Piñata de Renata is also awesome. And again, back to that whole theme thing, you're going to see fun illustrations, very short sentences, lots of visual support, and glossary support down here on the bottom. This one is cute. So if you want to hear a little bit more about Renata, just from the back, it says, hold on tight, you're about to meet Renata, a remarkable, unflappable girl with incredible hair. Join Renata each night on piñata-propelled journeys to distant Spanish-speaking realms. Meet bullfighters, wrestlers, legendary ghosts, unusual creatures, and more. With La Piñata de Renata, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Find a good reading spot and join an epic adventure. Again, great option for your beginners. You know we couldn't go through an entire beginning Spanish practice video without including this one, El Capibara con Botas. This is an easy Spanish reader, and it says on the back it has just 55 new vocabulary words as well as cognates. In the beginning of this book as well, there's a little bit of background information in English and some maps, helpful to support the reader's understanding and context. So the way the glossary works in this one is there's a very detailed section at the back, alphabetized. There are still pictures and illustrations, but this one is definitely more text. So if your students are brand new first week of school, it might be a little bit much for them to do on their own, but it is a great one for your beginners if you were going to do this as a novel with a whole class or something like that. This is one of the top recommended ones that I always hear about if somebody's like, I don't know what novel to do with my Spanish ones. Go-to recommendation I hear over and over and over again. If you want to hear more about doing a novel with your Spanish classes, check out my video here with Allison from Mis Clases Locas, where she shares her tips, her tutorials. She's the expert on teaching with novels. I've never had a chance to do that with my whole class, so I brought in her and we asked her all the questions that you had that we could think of. Check that video out for sure. Phew, we're almost done. I only have 2 more books for you. This next one is Papacito. You're going to recognize this style, right? Because this is also Spanish cuentos. So as you're looking through, right, we're seeing tons of images, lots of illustrations, vocabulary kind of mixed in. It's almost like comic booky sort of style. And then down on the bottom, there's that vocabulary support for them. And then in the back as well, there's a huge glossary for them to flip to if they need it. Just for the record, the back of this one says it's got 130 unique words and various cognates. Last one I have to share with you, but definitely not least, you've seen this one on my channel over and over again, but I couldn't leave it out, El Raton Pablito. Also from Spanish Cuentos. I love his books for beginners. So the way this one is set up is it's a bunch of little short stories, which again makes it feel really great for a beginner because they're finishing a story, right? You don't have to get through a whole book to get a plot line. It's a story and then another story. It's very digestible. Okay, so here's the setup. Again, clear illustrations, short text, vocabulary support down at the bottom, and then in the back, there's another glossary where in case they needed to, they could flip to the back and get that support. While novels are a really great option for your beginners, they don't have to be the only option in your classroom library, especially if you don't have funds or your funds are limited or, whatever reason. Maybe it's just the very first week of school and you're starting FER and okay, even 34 words feels like a lot right away, or I only have one copy of that 34 word book. Whatever it is, if you need more options for your Spanish beginners, remember that novels don't have to be the only thing. So check out this video here with 5 other Spanish resources you can use as reading practice for your beginners, several of them free. If you have another book that your novice Spanish students love, I would love to hear about it. Maybe I need to add it to my own shelf. Drop me a comment down below and let me know what books have I missed that you say are great for your Spanish beginners that I need to add or that I missed in this list, because I know that there are so many more Spanish readers than there used to be. There's more and more published every year. So if something is out there that I don't know about, please drop me a comment so I can check it out. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.